We have learned today that a process is underway to appoint administrators to CSL, leaving their staff in an extremely difficult position. This is an unforgivable consequence of the UK Government's 11th-hour intervention, which undermined...
Thank you, members.
...which undermined our deposit return scheme, made progress impossible, and is now resulting in these jobs being lost. This is clearly a concerning time for staff at Circularity Scotland, and we have been in regular contact with Circularity Scotland since the UK Government's decision. I wrote to Circularity Scotland to thank their staff for their hard work to get to a position where the DRS was ready to launch in Scotland, and to express our deep regret that we are now in this position. We continue to liaise with Circularity Scotland to consider how we may be able to support its staff, including providing PACE support, which is the Scottish Government's initiative for providing advice and guidance to people at risk of redundancy. In terms of when the Scottish Government knew that Circularity Scotland faced financial challenges, we warned the UK Government repeatedly that a failure to agree an exclusion to the UK Internal Market Act would jeopardise the scheme. At 9:45 p.m. on Friday the 26th of May, having first spent the day briefing the media, the UK Government informed us that they would only grant a partial, temporary and highly conditional exclusion. It was clear then that the UK Government had torpedoed Scotland's scheme.
Minister, I will have to ask you to conclude this response.
Since then, Circularity Scotland has been working tirelessly to identify a viable business model to take them forward, and they have kept us informed throughout.
Thank you. Sarah Boyack.
Minister, we are in a situation where we now know that approximately 60 staff are sitting at home where they are unaware if they will be paid, with their chief executive advertising them on LinkedIn as 60 brilliant people available for roles. In her answer to written question S6W18398, the Minister said CSL has been a trusted partner. But the Minister told us, and we know from press releases, that Circularity Scotland said that the scheme could go ahead. So where do we view this now? Can the Minister really say that a company that acts like this, doesn't even follow the regulations set by this Parliament to inform ministers and SEPA of material changes in circumstances, is a partner that she is actually working with and the Scottish Government is working with? And how do we know what is going to happen next? Because the Minister claimed that she didn't know last week when we were all reading it in the newspapers.
Okay. As I say, there's a lot of interest in this. I'd be grateful for concise questions and responses. Minister.
Circularity Scotland had confidence that the scheme could go ahead without glass. However, the matter that is pernicious, that actually blocks the scheme, is those unreasonable conditions that were also placed at the same time as glass were removed. The member will recall that one of those conditions was that we match the deposit level, a cap that the UK has. The UK have not published their regulations and told us what that deposit level is. It is impossible for me to launch a deposit return scheme when I can't even tell businesses what the level of that deposit might be. And this is why we were not able to go forward. In terms of Circularity Scotland, they will now be appointing an administrator, and it will be for the administrator to decide how to move that forward.